Okay, I'm giving this room here a quick coat of paint. And there's several tools you need when you're painting. This particular time, I'm painting without using tape. I'd like to show you how I'm doing that. First, I'm going to trim out this section of wall with various brushes. There is the plug. Of course, you have to catch the corner here. I've already painted the other corner. And I'm trimming up underneath this wainscoting, freehand it's called. About 8 or 10 foot wall here. And what I need is 1 inch or 2 inches of border, so when I bring my roller up to here, I'll be able to blend them in. Now, I don't know if you know what an edger is, but I'm going to show you what an edger is. This is another tool over here on the table. These come, several manufacturers make this. It has a removable pad and a pair of wheels on here that clicks into place. You need a flat pan to just set it down in the pan, wait for it to absorb a little paint, and look at the bottom. Now there's way too much paint on there. I generally wipe off the bottom a little bit. Now, another thing I do is these rollers cannot be dirty, so I touch them onto a rag. Now watch over here how this is such a beautiful tool. Those rollers are going to touch the trim, but the edger isn't. And you just slide it up and down. Bring it right into a corner, and then now I'm going to walk it away to make a perfect corner. I'm not so worried about the top of my baseboard. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to run down. As long as you have it consistent, you can touch the baseboard. Now, when paint is wet, everything shows. For example, there's a nail pop here that we didn't see until the paint was wet. But when the paint dries, that's going to disappear. I have one more edge to do. Again, I drop it in here. You don't want to push it in because you're going to make the whole thing messy. Just let it sit just a little bit, and I don't really have to look at the bottom. I know what it is. I pop off the 2 corners. Once again, almost every time, you want to just touch those rollers up against a rag here just to keep them dry, because, like I say, if they have paint on them, it goes on everything you do. I hope this looks simple. Now I'm ready to roll this small section of wall. Let me show you what I got set up for a roller. Just to make a note, look, I leave this thing not flat on the table, but like that. I normally just leave all my brushes that I'm working with out on a plastic table. Some people use the lid of the paint. Now watch here. This is a high-grade roller. This has got a wood handle on it. I'm using an aluminum pole. This pole is flexible, so if I was doing the ceiling, I can do it from the ground here. But right now I'm doing the shortest section. And now you just dip it a couple of times, and now you want to pull as much paint off of the roller as you can. When you've done that, the last thing you want to do is pull it off of each corner like this in order not to get what I call K-lips. K-lips. Those are little dams. Normally I would go up and down, but this wall is longer this way. So first thing I do is edge in both sections that I'm going to do. If you get a little paint on there like I just did, just take a rag while the paint's, as soon as you can, while the paint's wet, and just rub it off. Not going to be a way to stop you here. Okay, now look, I'm going to come far into that trim piece like this. Same with the bottom. I'm going to come into it as much as I can. Okay, and I'm putting the paint on as thick as I possibly can to avoid putting on two coats. Now look, again, I got way too much paint on there. Now I'm putting my knee against the bucket. A lot of people have a flat bucket. This is a contractor's bucket. I'd like to show you the difference. It holds easy 2 gallons of paint. When it gets filthy dirty, you just peel the paint off of there. It's flexible like this. You don't have to clean it at all. You just let it dry. Now remember, you got to get rid of the calip here, like this, and like this. Otherwise, I've got quite a bit of damming. Now, like I say, what I'm doing is I'm taking paint off the roller, putting it onto the wall, like this, and now I'm going to work it out, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time working it out because the paint tends to dry. Now, if you're noticing, this is a very close to the color that the paint job was. If you're covering over a dark color with a light color, or vice versa, you're definitely going to have to give this whole job 2 coats. Okay, take a look here at what we've done as we painted this whole room here. Right now, you see through the paint, but when it dries, good paint will eliminate that. I have a quality paint. I'm using one of the best paints on the market. It's called Behr Premium, or any type of Behr paint that you can buy at any local Home Depot. I think they have an exclusive on it. If you're using the top of the line, you're going to use either Benjamin Moore or Sherman Williams. Now, one thing about it is you can see on my forehead here that I'm trying to sweat. I'm not hot, but right now I put a gallon of paint in the room and there's a huge amount of humidity in here. So I don't like to vent when I paint. I like it to dry nice and slow. A lot of people like it to dry nice and fast. Now, in between coats, I'd like to show you how I set up. I take this off the roller and I'm going to dip it in here and submerge it. I'm going to leave it in here just in case I want to do a second coat. I do that with all my equipment. I take all my paint brushes and stick them in someplace where they're not going to fall in, where the handle's not going to fall into the paint. And just leave them in there. A lot of times I do that overnight. Same with this pad. If I'm not using it, I don't want it to sit here and get hard on me, so I'm just going to leave it, but this time I'm going to push it down a little bit. I'm going to leave it in there. If I want to continue painting tomorrow, or if I just don't want to clean up today. Thank you very much. Tips on painting.